Hey everyone, Don Maguccione here, ready to talk about the holidays a little bit. This video is to accompany a blog post I'm going to be putting up soon called the Thanksgiving Blitz. Blitz being a football term, sending an extra defender after the quarterback. I chose that term for the title because there's a lot of football on Thanksgiving, and I'm going to be getting after Thanksgiving this year instead of it getting after me. So, basic structure of the post is making yourself a plan to be successful in the area of health and well-being during the holidays, and not allowing patterns to set in which are going to derail any progress that you've been making and working on in the area of health and fitness and well-being. So what I suggest is that you make a plan. So a plan as far as what you're going to be eating or not eating during the time frame when the holidays take place between October and January. And make a plan to enjoy those holidays too. Whatever it is you celebrate, you want to be able to enjoy those traditional foods, have some drinks, have some desserts, whatever your thing is. One thing I point out in the blog is that no one day is going to offset your health and fitness. You can bounce back from one day of having some treats and indulging a little bit. The cycle that people get stuck in, and it's happened to me, is that you don't just make it one day. There's office parties, there's seasonal treats, there's lattes. There's just the temptation to say it's almost Halloween, it's almost Thanksgiving, um, it's almost New Year's, it's the week before New Year's, whatever the case may be, and I deserve it, so I'm just going to have some treats. So I mentioned no one day is going to throw off your goals and your progress, but doing that kind of stuff every weekend, uh, doing it every couple days during the week because there's an offer, there's a treat, there's a party. Maybe not as many parties during 2020, but in general, the spirit is still there. I deserve it. I should have this treat. That is what's going to result in the weight gain, the sluggishness, the things that can happen when there's consistent, habitual overindulging for a long period of time. And the other thing that can happen is if you have a exercise routine, there can be the temptation to scale that back a little bit because things are busy. It's busy time at work. You got to do shopping, got to get your house ready. Maybe you're traveling, maybe not as much this year, but in general, that things are busy. I deserve treats. I don't have time to fit in my exercise routine. So the combination of scaling back the physical activity and overindulging can really set us back when it comes to working on our health and well-being. So the theme that I outlined for this blog post was I'm making a plan for November 9th through December 5th. I'm going to make another plan for between December 5th and New Year's, but I wanted to give myself a little bit of a test run and a progress report. So I made a blog post in October to talk about preparing for the holidays. So this is more the practical application to it. So I'm framing it out and I'm trying it out myself. So if you want to follow along with me, I'd love to hear your feedback. That'll give me a pretty good assessment of how my plan is working once I get to December 5th. The idea being that I'm going to track what I'm eating, my activity levels, and some other goals that I made for myself related to exercise and sleep during that time frame. And I'm going to enjoy Thanksgiving. I like that day. Love to get together with family and enjoy some good food, have a few drinks. So I'm going to test my theory of does that throw off the progress if I'm sticking to my health and fitness routine the weeks and days leading up, and then if I get back on plan the week after. That's the reason for December 5th is I'll have the Thanksgiving holiday, and then I'll have a full week to get back into the routine I've established for nutrition and fitness and see what the net result is as far as my goal areas. So the main goal area that I'm keeping track of is I don't want to gain weight and gain inches on my waist during the holidays, which has happened before. So your goal areas can be completely different. I give some ideas for that on my blog post as to what are some markers that you can look at and track and make goals related to. Um, the main theme is that if you can if you can make one improvement during the holidays, so make some goals to say, I like, at the very least you want to maintain the level you are in October. But if you pick an area that you'd like to improve, that gives you some extra motivation and drive to go after it. So for me, I've got my specific goals on the blog. It's at 10minutetakeaways.com. That's the number 10. So you can see how those goals are set up, how I did this week. Actually, very excited about how I did this week. I mentioned on the blog that I took some before stats as far as my exercise, took a before picture, weight, and belt loop is the measurement I'm using for waist. So I'm not measuring my waist circumference, but I have to wear a belt when I go to work. So this week, just by refocusing and dialing in, I was able to lose some pounds on the scale and actually go from using the fourth belt loop to the fifth belt loop, which means less. More belt loops equals less circumference. So I was pretty happy about that because I took a week off last week, wasn't at work, was productive around the house, but didn't pay attention to my nutrition as much, and it definitely showed. So, I mean, I can say I lost some pounds and I lost the belt loop, but really what that was me getting back to before where I was before I took the week off. So that's just something like, a little bit of a reminder for me. It's important to pay attention, even if you've got vacation, even if you've got some discretionary time. So I was pleased that I was able to gain back that progress just by dialing in, just saying like, okay, I'm going to have a routine, I'm going to track it, I'm going to be accountable. So now I feel even more motivated going forward into next week. So on the blog post, I talk about some nutritional strategies that I use, linked to previous blog posts. So I would say to everybody also that what I'm doing is working for me. So it can be a template to say like, this is how you could make a journal and track what you're doing. But don't think of it as the guide of exactly what you should do. So it really depends on where you are. One of the things you want to do is make this winnable. So if you are not of the same experience level, you don't want to try to do the exact exercise routine that I'm doing. You probably don't want to eat the exact same way that I am because everybody has different tastes. And I mentioned in the blog post, I've been doing little experiments like this for the last few months. So if you're starting at the point where you have a soda every day and you have some sugary snacks in the afternoon and you want to try to scale that back a little bit, you don't want to jump into the routine that I'm doing because it's going to be a big adjustment and probably not going to set you up for success. Also, if you're reading this and you're more fit than I am and more serious about your diet, you don't want to do what I'm doing because it's not going to challenge you and it's not going to meet your goals. And if that's you, I really appreciate you looking at my content and leave me a comment. Love to talk about it. So just a few examples. Looking ahead to next week, I'm really excited about continuing the positive momentum related to the nutrition. So keeping that dialed in. I'd like to add some volume to my weight training. So one of my goals is adding volume to my upper body weight exercises. I'm able to do pull-ups, dips, and push-ups, and I do those sort of as like a circuit. So I want to be able to add some volume to that next week. So really excited about the progress, really excited about next week. Give me a comment, let me know what you think, and we'll see you next week.